We begin with the Korea-Africa Summit that has kicked off here in South Korea. The first summit of its kind has been much anticipated. So let's go straight to our Kim Do-yeon, who's covering at the spot. Do-yeon, what are we expecting right now?
Tami, good morning. African leaders have been arriving here one by one, and things are just getting started. Now, we've been reporting this over and over, but this is the biggest multilateral event that the Yoon administration has hosted so far here in South Korea, with 48 African nations participating, plus some of the organizations that represent Africa. Just the arrivals and greetings took 1 hour, and for the media as well, the security around this venue is very tight at the moment. Now, just in few moments, the opening ceremony will begin and the leaders will go into the morning discussion session, which will be followed by a luncheon after this afternoon discussion, a closing ceremony, and a joint press conference. As a reminder, this summit's theme is the future we make together, shared growth, sustainability, and solidarity. Yoon is also hoping that the summit will enhance cooperation with African nations that are rich in critical minerals and boost trade ties with them.
Well, the first official event-wide engagement was last night at the welcoming dinner banquet. How did that unfold?
That's right. President Yoon hosted a dinner for all 48 participating nations at Seoul Shilla Hotel last night. Taking the podium, President Yoon's remarks, which basically was one of the first remarks that he made in front of all participating nations, focused on being good partners. He said 3 things made South Korea's fast economic growth possible: visionary leaders, courageous businesses, and hardworking citizens, and that the nation is ready to share its experience with its African partners. Take a listen.
가장 가난하고 어려운 시절을 겪었고 가장 극적으로 경제 발전과 번영의 길을 개척해 왔기 때문에 한국은 아프리카의 진실된 친구로서 함께 미래로 나아갈 준비가 되어 있습니다.
He also pointed out the similarities between the culture of Korea and parts of Africa and gave Kenya's national motto, Harambe, a Swahili word for meeting all pulled together, as an example. Yoon said that this is a sentiment deeply rooted in South Korean society as well. Mohamed Ould Sheikh El Ghazouani, the president of Mauritania, who also serves as the chair of the African Union, replied in his remarks that he has high hopes for cooperation, which will also tackle global challenges together. There were performances that mixed cultures, and the meal was also a fusion of Korean and African dishes.
All right, now President Yoon's had a busy few days, including yesterday when he greeted the leaders here in the country. Tell us more about that.
That's right. He met with 10 leaders just yesterday, as is customary, including leaders of Lesotho, Cote d'Ivoire, Rwanda, and Cabo Verde. Yoon told leaders that he hopes the summit will contribute to mutual growth by strengthening tailored, mutually beneficial cooperation in various fields such as energy, infrastructure, critical minerals, and agriculture. African leaders spoke of their interest in cooperation with South Korea as it is a tech powerhouse. Now, these greetings will continue over the next couple of days, as there are around 30 heads of state to see out of the 48 participating nations. Tami?
All right, Do-yeon, thank you. That was our Kim Do-yeon reporting from the summit site. Now, on the agenda for the summit starting today is heightening economic cooperation, as our aims to serve as a bridge between the developed and developing worlds. Our Moon Hae-yeon has the details and potential partnerships to explore between the two.
Africa is an extremely diverse continent with a wide range of low, middle, and high-income economies. The World Bank dubbed Sub-Saharan Africa the world's largest free trade area, with a 1.2 billion person market, as well as being rich in natural resources. This is what makes the continent an attractive partner for economic cooperation, as the issue of secure supply chains for raw materials becomes more and more important in South Korea. During the 4th Korea-Africa Forum back in 2016, both sides agreed to enhance their economic cooperation, as well as collaboration in other sectors such as science and technology, human resources, and fostering the younger generation. But over the past 10 years, progress has been somewhat stunted.
It only accounts for about 1 to 2% of Korean exports and 1 to 1.5% of Korean imports. And the big reason for that is that African GDP as a region is still very small.
Africa's global share of GDP is around 5%, while South Korea's accounts for 1.6%. This means that the GDP of the whole region equates to just 3 times that of South Korea. The low GDP combined with the geographical distance has made trade difficult, along with the political instability in certain areas that have made it a risky region to do business with. However, the International Monetary Fund has set optimistic forecasts for economic growth in the sub-Saharan region, predicting that this will rise from 3.4% last year to 3.8% this year after 4 turbulent years.
We have to remember that the African continent's share of population is about 18%. So they have a vast room to grow, and they are less developed, so they have a lot of demand for infrastructure investment. And in order to make infrastructure investment, they will have a lot of demand for financing.
South Korea and Africa also share a major issue affecting many regions around the world: global warming, which affects crops and other natural resources. Consumer prices in South Korea are skyrocketing with large price hikes for fresh produce, while the World Meteorological Organization reported that more than $8.5 billion worth of economic damages were wrought in Africa by climate-related hazards in 2022. With the shared interest in tackling global issues and untapped potential in trade and infrastructure investment yet to be explored, the summit, talks and business forum are expected to boost economic cooperation in the future. 문혜련, Arirang News.
And fostering cultural exchanges like tourism often plays a pivotal role in connecting and promoting cross-cultural understanding. Hopes are high that doing that will break down barriers and build bridges for South Korea and Africa as well. Yoon reports.
The 2024 Korea-Africa Tourism Forum has opened a new chapter in tourism diplomacy. Joining hands with the Korea Tourism Organization and the United Nations Tourism, South Korea's Culture Ministry hosted the forum participated in by the President of Mauritius and ministers from across Africa, including Nigeria and Namibia. Seoul's Four Seasons Hotel was the host venue for the first ever high-level tourism diplomacy talks between Korea and Africa. The forum on Monday had the theme of forging strategic partnerships for sustainable tourism diplomacy. The discussion's main focus was to delve into strategies for enhancing cultural exchanges and fostering investment cooperation within the tourism sector between Korea and Africa.
Africa is the world's youngest and most vibrant region. It stands with endless potential for collaboration with South Korea. Tourism is believed to be a vital bridgehead in fostering a mutually beneficial relationship between Korea and Africa for the future.
President Prediat Singh of Mauritius also shared his expectations for the forum, aiming to exchange ideas and best practices with South Korea.
For the African continent, the tourism industry constitutes a key sector contributing around 6% to its GDP. Korea, on the other hand, is a world leader in innovation in the tourism sector, and its attractiveness have become remarkable.
He added that Mauritius could learn from South Korea in terms of strategies and foster partnerships given that tourism offers from Mauritius are complementary. The CEO of Africa Tourism Partners, Kwakie Dongko, proposed improving the trade of tourism products in the private sector as well as investments. But he did highlight the importance of enhancing connectivity through people, saying that when it comes to social and cultural exchange, there was no better opportunity.
Make sure that these Africans in Korea and then the Koreans in Africa become our ambassadors in both destinations to make.
The first step in unlocking the tourism potential between Korea and Africa is to encourage active participation among people to raise awareness. As part of this, after the forum, participants visited the photo exhibition, Invitation to Africa, at the National Museum of Korean Contemporary History. The exhibition aims to promote a positive image of Africa and foster growth in the continent's tourism sector by featuring 38 photographs that showcase tourist destinations from 27 African countries. It will be open to the public for free until June 7th. Yoon, Arirang News.
According to a leading expert on South Korea's soft power and former ambassador to several African countries, looking after people and their livelihoods in both South Korea and African states should be at the heart of the two sides' collaboration. Our Oh Soo-young sat down with him.
Empowering people and their livelihoods must be at the core of South Korea's partnership with African countries as they look to pursue shared growth, sustainability and solidarity. That's according to diplomat turned academic Park Jong-dae, a leading expert on Korean soft power diplomacy. While Seoul's multilateral engagement with 48 African countries this week comes late compared to other advanced economies, Park says South Korea has unique merits to offer.
It is natural, I think, that now we step up and meet the challenge to assume greater capabilities. And that is in line with the government vision, President Yoon Suk-yeol's vision of a global pivotal state. That we want to be also a leader in international fields, in also universal values, okay? And security and promotion of prosperity. And we can share our experiences, which is vital, especially for developing countries.
With food shortages, severe weather events, internal conflicts and corruption hindering socio-economic growth in African countries, the former ambassador to Uganda and South Africa raised the need for a people-centered approach rather than temporary military or political solutions.
So I think human capital development should be our centerpiece of collaboration because it really determines everything. And Africa does not have challenges in development because it lacks resources or means, or even lack of institutions. They have. But what is the problem is lack of implementation and follow-up, and that requires human capacity, which is not only level of education, but the attitude, mindset for development.
Park has told African communities they need not wait for assistance as he initiated various projects in Uganda inspired by the Semao or New Village movement. The community-driven effort in the 70s helped drive South Korea's per capita income from $65 in 1965 to roughly $5,000 by the late 80s.
Why it's important is because it stresses ownership. Ownership. For example, the motto of Semao-Rundong is diligence, self-help, and cooperation. It's not about getting funding, getting assistance, or being dependent. It's about self-empowerment, which I think is crucial for the success of all the development projects. And it's the fastest way that Africa can get out of poverty and to achieve development.
He hopes the two-day summit will serve as a springboard for more targeted cooperation between African states and South Korea, as well as non-governmental actors and businesses in areas like agribusiness, digital technology, energy and infrastructure.
So your acquaintance with Africa, it stretches beyond your long distinguished career as a diplomat. It goes back to your childhood years as a boy living in Uganda. So on a personal note, how do you hope to see more cultural or people-to-people exchanges between the countries?
Yes, having lived in Africa when I was a youngster and having returned as a diplomat, there's certain myths that has to be dispelled. For example, many people think that the living conditions in Africa is very harsh with the detrimental environment. That is not the case. While Africa has huge desert, Saharan desert and Sahel region, but it also has very fertile land. But largely, it has the endowment. It's very much blessed. And also it has rich minerals, precious minerals. So there are huge potential. But what attracted me most is people are very open and pragmatic and flexible. Since this is the first time ever that Korea has invited the vast majority of African heads of state, and it's a very useful occasion to use it as important momentum to jumpstart our collaborative relations and also to spur exchanges, cultural exchanges, people-to-people exchanges, but also academic exchanges. And our goal is to make it successful so that we'll be able to continue this summit on a regular basis.
Well, on that note, we really do hope for the success of this first ever Korea-Africa Summit. And thank you so much for your time today, Ambassador.
Okay, it was a great pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's the first time South Korea is hosting this many countries from one continent. How can the South Korea-Africa Summit be a turning point in taking their relations to another level? We're joined by Professor Kim In-kyung this morning. Welcome.
Thank you.
So like I said, this is the first time South Korea has invited this many countries from one continent. What does that say about the Yoon administration as a host nation?
Like you just mentioned, the fact that Seoul is hosting delegates from 48 countries, marking the first time it has hosted such a large group of people from a single continent, definitely indicates that the Yoon's administration capability and confidence as a host. This significant gathering highlights Seoul's readiness to welcome and engage with a diverse array of diplomatic representatives, demonstrating its commitment to fostering strong partnerships and cooperation with African nations. By successfully organizing and facilitating this historic moment, the Yoon administration showcases its proficiency in managing large-scale international events and its dedication to promoting dialogue and collaboration on a global scale.
Definitely, and South Korea has invited and hosted leaders from numerous countries across the globe. Now, this time, why Africa and why now?
South Korea's decision to invite and host leaders from numerous countries from Africa indicates a strategic shift in its own foreign policy priorities. Africa has emerged as a pivotal region in a global landscape, offering vast opportunities for economic cooperation, trade, investment. Additionally, Africa represents a crucial arena for addressing global challenges such as climate change, sustainable development, and security. So by engaging with African leaders now, at this moment, South Korea aims to deepen its diplomatic ties, explore mutually beneficial partnerships, and contribute to Africa's socio-economic development.
Right, it's about time, and also the timing cannot be any better. Now, what is it there for South Korea to offer then? You briefly mentioned, climate change, economy, but let's talk more about that.
South Korea presents African nations with a wealth of expertise, resources, and partnership opportunities across various fields. One particular appealing area for African countries is Korea's advanced technological capabilities. Korea's success in sectors such as information technology, telecommunications, and renewable energy. So we offer valuable opportunities for collaboration and knowledge exchanges. And also Korea's expertise in infrastructure development, including transportation, energy, urban planning. We can address critical needs in Africa's rapidly growing cities. Also, Korea's dedication to capacity building initiatives, education, human resources development, aligns with Africa's aspirations for sustainable socio-economic growth.
Well, as an African expert, I have to ask you, is there a particular country that you think has lots of potentials to become a good partner of Seoul? I know you have 48 options now, but what do you think?
Personally, I'm interested in Kenya, but I also suggest that might be Kenya. Kenya's President William Ruto recently visited the U.S. President Biden, and Kenya's prospective designation as a major non-NATO ally by the Biden administration underscores its strategic importance and stability, making it an even more attractive partner for Korea. As a gateway to East Africa, Kenya offers access to a large and dynamic regional market, facilitating trade, investment opportunities. So the country's diverse economy with strong sectors in agriculture, technology, and tourism aligns with Korea's advanced technological capacity and industrial capacity. So creating synergies for both countries' collaborative ventures. And moreover, Kenya's commitment to infrastructure development, innovation, resonates with Korea's expertise in these areas, promising mutually beneficial projects in fields such as renewable energy, smart cities, and technology.
Definitely one of the most attractive African states. Now, we talked about how South Korea and Africa can offer from each side, but in what areas can the two sides work together to bring out the most synergy?
There are many, actually. South Korea and Africa have the potential to collaborate across a broad spectrum of areas to maximize synergy and mutual benefits. One crucial domain is infrastructure development, where Korea's expertise in constructing efficient transportation networks, energy systems, and urban infrastructure, they can complement Africa's imperative for modernization and connectivity. Additionally, both regions can harness technology and innovation to tackle shared challenges and advance sustainable development. Korea's advanced technology capabilities, like I said, coupled with Africa's vast potential for digital transformation, present opportunities for cooperation in sectors like ICT, fintech, and e-governance. Moreover, collaboration in education and human resources, human development can help cultivate skilled workforce and facilitate knowledge exchange, empowering African states to drive sustained economic development and social advancement. And also partnerships in trade, investment, and entrepreneurship also have the potential to stimulate economic diversification, job creation, and inclusive growth, unlocking the full potential of both regions. Overall, by collaborating these areas, South Korea and Africa can leverage their complementary strength to achieve greater prosperity and development.
Right, it's especially exciting that there's so much to explore between the two. All right, Professor Kim Eun-kyeong, thank you so much for your time and your insight this morning.
Thank you.
South Korea's east coast may be harboring vast amounts of gas and oil that can be used for up to nearly 3 decades and 4 years, respectively. Now, exploratory drilling work will begin later this year. Lee Si-hoo has this report.
On Monday, President Yoon announced that he had approved South Korea's exploratory drilling for potentially vast oil and gas reserves in the East Sea off the southeastern coastal city of Pohang.
저는 오늘 산업통상자원부에 동해 심해 석유가스전에 대한 탐사 시추 계획을 승인했습니다. 사전 준비 작업을 거쳐 금년 말에 첫 번째 시추공 작업에 들어가면 내년 상반기까지는 어느 정도 결과가 나올 것입니다.
President Yoon said at a briefing in his office, there's a high chance the area may contain as much as 14 billion barrels of oil and gas, according to studies by expert organizations, upon request from the South Korean government. He says the amount is judged to be 300 times the amount of resources discovered in an EC gas field in the late 1990s, and about the amount of natural gas that could fuel the country for more than 29 years. And the field could also contain enough petroleum to last the country for more than 4 years. An Deok-keun, the Minister of Trade, Industry and Energy, said the drilling is expected to begin around December. An suggested a rough timeline afterward if the drilling does confirm the presence of vast reserves.
If reserves are confirmed, we expect the commercialization process to begin around 2027 to 2028 and commercial production to begin in 2035.
An official at the ministry also explained the success rate of exploratory drilling is around 20%. The government and the Korea National Oil Corporation, along with investments from global companies, will cover the drilling costs. It's expected at least 5 boreholes will be drilled at the cost of over 100 billion Korean won, or around $75 million per drill. South Korea is one of the world's largest buyers of crude oil and gas, according to the Korea National Oil Corporation. The country's energy stocks jumped after the announcement. Lee Si-hu, Arirang News.
Washington on Monday slammed North Korea for its recent sending of balloons carrying trash across the border to South Korea, calling it a disgusting tactic. According to U.S. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller, the balloons are both irresponsible and childish. He also called on the North to put an end to such actions, adding that the U.S. condemns any country that sends trash to its neighbor. Preliminary results show Mexico electing its first female president, Claudia Sheinbaum. The former Mexico City mayor is set to begin her 6-year term on October 1st. Lee Seung-jae has more.
For the first time in the 200 years since Mexico became a republic, a female president is set to take office in the country. Preliminary data from the National Electoral Institute showed that Claudia Sheinbaum won between 58.3% to 60.7% of the vote to win the country's presidential election. The 61-year-old takes over her longtime political ally and mentor, Andrés Manuel López Obrador. She also becomes the first Jewish leader of Mexico, having been born to Lithuanian and Bulgarian Jewish parents. A climate scientist, Sheinbaum was also the mayor of Mexico City from 2018 to 2023. Many political pundits see her as continuing the work of Obrador, whose social welfare programs led to the success of the Morena party. The president-elect pledged to stick to her predecessor's policies, which include scholarships for more than 12 million students and pensions for all senior citizens. Sunday's election was also the largest in the country's history, with more than 98 million voters registered. She will begin her 6-year term on October 1st. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
We thank you for watching New Day at Arirang. We'll be back tomorrow at the same time, 9 a.m. Korea time.